are calling for castration of perpetrators. Will that solve the problem of sexual assault? Well, we will find out. Anyways, moving forward, joining me on the line right now is an attorney and the founder of Women's Justice Foundation, Magdalene Moonsamy, to talk about sexual harassment, what constitutes as sexual harassment, and how does one go about reporting it, especially in the workplace. Assalamu alaikum, Magdalene.
Walaikum salam to yourself, Mariam, and to the listeners. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, I'm all good in yourself.
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
All right,
Uh,
so
yes.
Magdalene, first of all, what is sexual harassment? How can people understand what sexual harassment is?
Okay, sexual harassment is an unwanted conduct. So first, it's an unwanted direct conduct of a sexual nature. It could be verbal, it could be non-verbal, it could be physical, but it must have the point where it affects the dignity the of the person that is affected.
Mm,
So obviously, it does not. If it says non-verbal, it could be just the utilization of the hands without any kind of saying anything. But it is also with the intention of creating a hostile environment. Because in the case of sexual harassment, you can have a situation where a hostile environment is created as a result of the actual discomfort of the victim by the perpetrator.
hmm Now, what constitutes a sexual harassment?
Okay, as I indicated already, what constitutes sexual harassment is it would be a conduct
hmm
that is physical, verbal, non-verbal, of a sexual nature.
hmm
So, maybe you want to ask the question: what would an act of sexual harassment be?
hmm
So, the intention. Remember, one of the things is to affect the dignity of the person. So, if you have a situation, for example, where somebody walks past you, I mean, I can't really deny
Mm.
In the home. In the home. It does not necessarily qualify that because it's something that, and we spoke about this myself and you, Maria.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily mean that because there's a marriage that the woman is always just consensual. You understand? So these kinds of, but that is protected through the Domestic Violence Act. That can be taken as if there's such criminality involved, handled differently. But you can find it even in a shop. You walk onto the street, you get into a bus, you get into a train, you get into a plane. So it is very extensive. It's not exclusive. Sexual harassment in the workplace is one thing, where there has to be the Employment Equity Act implementation of policies and procedures through the National Code of Conduct, as well as the Protection of Harassment Act. But in other aspects, that act can be instituted. You go out into a festival, a family festival, or wherever the case is, and somebody has made you feel uncomfortable in their conduct, then you are in a position to say, this is it. I think in the spirit of the gender-based violence, the spirit of the 16 days of activism, it's a very, very essential that we are on our tippy toes all the time in terms of what we, and remember, these little things that are happening in our home, child pornography, etc., children being killed, children being raped, children being murdered. These are things that we need to be vigilant of in the home. If we see that a child is uncomfortable around a person or a child is showing signs of things, that needs to be attended to. Sexual harassment, and the code of good practice of sexual harassment are not exclusive to a woman. They can also extend to men. They can extend to the issue of promotions, for example. Should you not comply with what has to happen, you're not going to get a promotion. So these are the kinds of blackmails, the types of exchanges of sexual favor for a job or for a promotion. Very extensive, and it requires that the most basic situations that a woman immediately feels, I'm not comfortable here. This is unwanted conduct. She may pursue it. She may take up the job. But then she may still say, no, this person did this to me. And she wakes up. And like we know from all the international incidents, there's no prescription. So she wakes up and she decides, okay, I was sexually harassed or abused of my grandfather. I was sexually harassed or abused of my brother or whatever the case is. And her memory then starts to resurface. Then indeed, she is in a position to bring such to the attention of the authorities.
Right. Magdalene, what about if you witness sexual harassment? What can you do then? If you witness sexual harassment, how do you help the victim?
Okay, remember with sexual harassment, one of the things is very important. Make it known. Tell as many people as possible. There should be no let's minus malicious intent. Get out there, get support. Go to the right channels within the employment environment. Report such things to the employment environment. Caution other people about the individual who is conducting sexual harassment. Make sure that you are in a position where you can get support, where you can lobby support, where you can be in groups. You don't have to always be on your own. If you're summoned in by a person, try and see if you can establish that there's someone with you in the room at the time, because it's very intimidating. Alternatively, try and get as much information about what is being said, how it is being said, so that when it comes to lodging a complaint, a grievance, going to the police, you have as much evidence as possible. Dates, times, places, what was the person wearing, etc., etc. So that is very important. And speak about it. Caution others. Raise the flags.
Mhm. All right. And how can we encourage young girls to speak up about sexual harassment, but also not just, you know, lay false charges and claims about sexual harassment?
One must be very careful if they are going to do such things of being malicious and laying false charges, because they can be imprisoned. And we know this. The most important thing is that we need to make sure that we teach young girls the difference between sexual harassment and having a friendly relation or interaction with another human being. So there needs to be education that if someone touches you in a specific way and if your body doesn't feel comfortable by it, you need to know that is harassment. Even if somebody says something to you in a way that it makes you feel uncomfortable, that is harassment. We need to teach them to understand the difference so that it does not become a norm in our society that you speak to women, whistle to women, greet women in whichever manner that you find it to be correct. So we need to teach young girls, firstly, what makes them uncomfortable and what should make them uncomfortable. What is legal, what is illegal, what is correct and what is not correct. And thereafter, encourage them to have support groups, even outside of their age, so that they can then turn to those people for the purposes of saying, I didn't like what happened today with this group of boys on the street. And maybe all the other girls in the neighborhood are struggling with the same issue. But they must come together, go to the elders, and make sure that the elders are able to address and attend to the issue.
And this reminds
Or even if it is a community center,
yeah.
or if it is, the any kind of institution or place that can, a place of safety, that they can report the issue.
Yeah, this brings me to the time when we spoke about sexual harassment or rape that has gone unreported for a while and only been reported a little later on, and what it does to the victims. But yeah, I think if we can come up and have support groups and support systems to talk about these issues, and we can help each other to get the necessary help as well. Magdalene, quickly share with us your details with the Women's Justice Foundation once again.
Okay, you can contact me on MAGDALENESAMY@gmail.com. That would be the best way that I, and then there's Instagram, which is Magdalene Moonsamy. There's Twitter, which is Maggie Moonsamy, and Facebook is Magdalene Moonsamy.
Right, so thank you so much for your time, Magdalene. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much. Walaikum salam. Take care.
Thank you. Right, that was Magdalene Moonsamy. If you'd like to contact her, just send her an email, magdalene.moonsamy@gmail.com. She is an attorney and the founder of Women's Justice Foundation. And if you or someone you know is experiencing sexual harassment in the workplace, at home, wherever it could be, please get the necessary help. Contact Magdalene, and you will get the necessary help that you need. It is 11:52. You are listening to the Mari Mukonda Show on Satellite Media. We will be right back after the break.
This is Salam Media, and you are tuned into the Miriam Makwanda Show.
As the crisis in Yemen continues, 80% of the population are in desperate need of basic necessities. The Africa Muslims Agency teams are on the ground